right, I think we are going to get started. I know we have a lot to get through this morning, so I want to make sure we have plenty of time. So good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today for our Business First event sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield. For those of you who haven't met, my name is Kelsey McKaig, and I'm part of the Southwest Michigan First team. This series of small business discussions was specifically designed to strengthen and grow small businesses in our community. And we hope these virtual meetings will bring together the knowledge of experts, as well as foster discussion between community leaders and small business owners, and hopefully focus on topics that are important to you. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation for our speakers, please feel free to put them in the chat box. Our team will be monitoring the chat, and we will do our best to field your questions to the speakers at the end of their presentations. I did want to make you all aware that this Zoom call is being recorded as well for those who can't join us in person today. So this morning we are joined by Kim Borner of the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, Veronica Johnson and Sharice Gary of the Great Lakes Women's Business Council, and Albert Lewis of the Michigan Minority Supplier Development Council to discuss how to become a certified women, minority, and/or veteran-owned business. So before we jump in, I did want to make sure that everyone is aware that there are so many different types of certifications that we won't be able to cover today, but we hope that this call will serve as a high-level overview for some of the certifications that are available. We won't be able to cover every aspect of the process or all of the opportunities that are available with these certifications in just 1 hour, but I will be sending out all of the contact information for our presenters later today. So if you'd like to get more information or start the process, you can reach out to them directly and they will be able to help you. So with that being said, we will dive right in. We're going to start this morning with Kim Borner. She is the procurement counselor at PTAC. Kim, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
I will let you get going.
Thank you. Can everyone see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. So government contracting, that's PTAC. PTAC is a nonprofit. We are coast to coast. We are regionally based. We provide assistance on all levels of government contracting, local, state, and federal. We provide one-on-one counseling, assistance in organizing the steps of contracting to try to make it a little bit easier. We host events and we share events of others that can help with government contracting. We have a free bid matching service. We're here to handhold with registrations and certification assistance. And lastly, we also help reading your proposals. So once you find something in government to bid on, we are here to help you, and we can review that proposal before you submit it. So in general, companies who are more likely to win government contracts are 2 years of sales history, an identifiable product or service, stable or seeking additional venues. Computer and internet capability are extremely important. It's great to have the entire team on board because of last, it is time and energy consuming, especially up front, because it's a huge learning curve for government. So we're here today to talk about veterans set aside as well as the others. So in government, in general, federal government contracting is supposed to be setting aside at least 23% of all business for small business. Of that, there are the various recommended goals and set aside values, 5% women-owned within a limited NAICS criteria, service-disabled veteran-owned small business, hubs-owned small business, and then 5% for an encouraged goal is small disadvantaged business, also known as 8A for socially and economically disadvantaged. Best effort, veteran owned. And then 2 larger government contracts are required, depending on value, 700,000 in general, 1.5 million in construction. They must have subcontracting plans. So there's also opportunities when you subcontract at any level on a government product or service. So certifications are available both free and for a fee. And please keep in mind, I have hyperlinks in here. The slides you'll be getting or the PDF will have all the hyperlinks available. As you can see, to women-owned 8A HubZone, they all go directly to their own screens. So free. We self-certify as a small business with the SAM, System for Award Management, and government offers specific certifications for women and economically disadvantaged women-owned 8A, also known as SDV, HubZone, and VOSB, which is veteran-owned, and SDVOSB, which is service-disabled veteran-owned. The government certifications, however, are intended only for government purposes. So it's that's where we need the fee ones. So sometimes, you know, it might need to pay the fee because the women-owned is limited to those NAICS codes for government. If you don't have one of those NAICS codes that are programs that are less likely, actually, companies that are less likely to be owned by women, then the government wouldn't actually offer a certification. However, the certifications are extremely important when it comes to subcontracting because when you contract with the government and you make a mistake or they make a mistake and you're not really women-owned or veteran-owned or whatever, it's a slap on the hand. But for a prime contractor, Whirlpool, Stryker, Boeing, if they find out that you are not that type of small business, it's fines and fees and they can lose the contract. So that's where the paid certifications are super beneficial because they're absolute certifications. So those 4 listed here for women-owned business do a great job with their certifications in both government and commercial. And these 4 are recognized by the federal government as meeting all criteria, fully above board. And they don't just offer government contracting or contracting certifications. They also offer a lot of information and are very helpful. The VOSB veteran-owned certification and SDVOSB, there was also a commercially recognized veteran program too, NVBDC, which they changed their initials a couple years ago and I can't remember the current ones, but there's also a pay one available for that, which again, commercially, very important. And then minority-owned small business, they have an excellent verification program too, which is strictly minority-owned. But I follow them very closely because they offer excellent classes and excellent training, just like the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. I strongly recommend at the very least, whether you join or not, paying attention to them because their information is fantastic. And yeah, we're very fortunate to have them. Okay. So I'm here to talk about veteran-owned, and I know I hurried. Holler with questions, email me, call me. My information is at the end. But getting down to veterans. So there are 2 types of veteran-owned small business. There's the veteran-owned small business, and there is the service-disabled veteran-owned small business, which is someone who was disabled during active duty or since. Like I work with one fellow who's in Vietnam, and Agent Orange impacted his heart, but not until 30 years later. But he is a service-disabled veteran-owned small business. So the criteria when contracting as a veteran-owned small business is that the small business, there's a solicitation for veteran-owned in the solicitation. So when contracting with the government, looking at opportunities, you're going to see some that are full and open, others for small business, and then for specific types, the veteran, the HubZone 8A. So if only those who are eligible veterans can bid on the veteran-owned opportunities. It's important that the veteran or multiple veterans, in some cases, we have another company that's owned by 3 veterans, they have to directly own the small business. It can't be through a corporation or a subgroup. And the veterans have to own and control no less than 51% of the business unconditionally. And that's very important, not just the owning, but the controlling, active duty, paying attention to what's going on, being there during work hours. And the veteran, or at least one of them if they're multiple, must hold the highest officer position. And that is double, triple checked by the government. So be wary of that. And then, so you'll probably hear or have heard that the veteran certification, which is currently with the Veterans Administration, or Veteran Affairs, will be moving to the SBA. As of now, that is actually not planned to happen for about 2 years. So right now, we continue with the veteran certification through the VA. Another thing too that happened a year or so ago, well, no, it looks like 3 years ago. It didn't feel like it took effect until 2020. The criteria for SBA and VA for veteran-owned business differ. It no longer differs. They now have the same exact criteria, so that when that change does happen in a couple of years, it will be a smoother transition. So lots of resources available to you. The vendor information page is where you would go to look into this, read more about it. The knowledge base is excellent. They answer a lot of questions. But for me, the most important part to look at if you are considering a veteran-owned or service-disabled veteran-owned small business certification are the required documents. And when you click on the required documents, it will first ask your business type. Are you LLC? Are you corp, sole proprietorship? That's what tells you exactly what documents will be required. So just be sure that when you're interested, that you look at the exact right documents for your business type. And lastly, there are statistics about contracting with veteran-owned business. Just a few general facts, frequently asked questions. The certification is good for 3 years at this time. We used to be only 2. Fortunately, they upped it to 3 and they've kept it there, which makes it nice because there's a lot of documentation when you certify, including when you recertify. All VA certifications for either veteran-owned or service-disabled are recognized by the Department of Veteran Affairs. In theory, it's only supposed to be recognized by Veterans Affairs. However, they publish a site of who is currently registered on the vendor information page. And anyone can look at it. And other government agencies absolutely do use it, and prime contractors use it as well to verify that a company has gone through this certification. At this moment in time, the verification time is taking from the moment you start, you log into the website and plan to move forward with this. It takes about 5 weeks before you obtain certification, or sometimes a letter saying not so much at this time. You will also probably get letters in the middle asking for additional information. It seems like there's always something else they're looking for. So be ready for that too. And then again, you can find the current verified small business at the VA website. Something else with this is I strongly encourage you before certifying is go to that required document page, finding your company type, and making sure that you have all of that downloaded PDF'd individually. So they'll ask for tax documents, they'll ask for payroll information, business certifications. Make sure each type is ready to go in a PDF, if at all possible. And PTAX, that's part of what we help with. It's harder now because we're actually not supposed to be in person through the end of the year. But I have had a gentleman come in, and we do have office space available if I've had to, or if you need me to, I'm glad to. We can go in and scan everything. I did that with one of our veterans. It took a few weeks, but we got everything scanned so that when he was ready to upload his documents, everything was a PDF, and that portion of it actually went quite smooth. As needed, of course, every time. They do ask for a few different documents that aren't on the list. We brought those in, we scanned them and got them uploaded within the 5 days every time. So just know that we're here to help with that in the ways that we're able to help with that. And then if you're interested in becoming a PTAC client, we are free, do not charge for our services. We are government funded, and we are nonprofit. Just let us know this information, your name, the date of your first sale, because that goes back to 2 years in business is preferred by the government. It's not required, but it is definitely preferred. Your address, including county, because in Michigan, PTACs are located by county, and we want to make sure that you get to the right PTAC. Your website, if you have one. How did you hear about us? And if you have it or know what they are, and it is absolutely okay if you do not know what they are, your DUNS, CAGE code, and NAICS codes. But that's part of PTAC. If you don't know what they are, we're here to help learn. If you do, it's great if you can provide them, because that will help us know where you are in the process. And then we will get back with you. If you're in our region, we'll send you a file to become a client. And if you're not, we will introduce you to your local PTAC. And this is our contact information. I am Kim Warner, one of your procurement counselors here in Kalamazoo and Southwest Michigan. And Teresa Cheney Huggett is my fellow colleague. And we are both here to serve you with government contracting. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Kim. That was super helpful. And just to make sure this is clear for everybody, not only can you help with veteran certification, but with any business who is looking to get involved with government contracting. And I know you have some wonderful events that you've done virtually that walk through what government contracting is and how people can get involved. So I'll be sure to share that information out with everybody. We did have a question in the chat that said, can persons born disabled apply for the certified disabled veteran-owned small business category, or are disabled from birth or non-service excluded from that?
Excellent question. So service disabled veteran-owned is for those who were disabled during active service. However, 8A does include an opportunity, depending on the disability and how it has impacted your business or your ability to perform your business as the business owner. That sometimes can be an option too. It depends on if SBA will recognize it or not.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we'll see if any other questions pop in the chat, but we are going to shift things over to Veronica Johnson and Cherise Gary of the Great Lakes Women's Business Council to talk about becoming a certified woman-owned business enterprise. So I will hand the mic over to you both. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
So you guys see my presentation, correct?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Again, there's going to be a lot of information in a little bit of time, but feel free to reach out to me or Cherise or one of our other colleagues after today's presentation, and we'll be able to further explain some stuff. So we are Veronica Johnson and Cherise Gary with Great Lakes Women's Business Council. We also do the certification for what a lot of people know as WBANC. So I'm just going to jump into it here. Let me see if I can get it to work. There we go. So we always like to start our orientations off with kind of explaining who we are as a council. So again, we're the Great Lakes Women's Business Council. We're a nonprofit organization housed out of Livonia, Michigan. We have several different programs within us that make us whole. One of them being our seed lending program, where we offer small business loans from $5,000 to $50,000. We are also starting 2 other different loan programs where we'll be able to do some lending up to $250,000. And then we have some smaller loans that we'll be able to add on to other loans. So you can come and get 2 loans through us or just one big loan. But again, if you want more information on the seed lending program, I'll be able to share that after today's call. We have our certification where we certify women-owned businesses in the states of Michigan and Indiana. So if you are woman-owned, you are able to obtain the certification. We have a membership program that maybe you don't fit the qualifications of certification, or you're not ready, but you still want to be involved with the council, or you know a corporate member that is willing to support our women-owned businesses. They are able to join our council through our membership program for a minimal fee. And then our largest department right now, I would say honestly, is our Women's Business Center. So like Kim was saying, that part of the council has so much information, webinars, seminars, classes, mentorships. There's so much opportunity coming out of the Women's Business Center. And then we have our Michigan Women's Marketplace, which is a free online incentive for women-owned businesses. We call it the Facebook of businesses. It's like a directory full of women-owned businesses. So not only are you able to build relationships and obtain contracts just from being certified, you're also able to do it at a different level through the Michigan Women's Marketplace. So the website will come up later in the presentation. So I recommend everyone that's women-owned, whether you fit the qualification of certification or not, if you're women-owned, period, I would suggest that you sign up for the Michigan Women's Marketplace. I pretty much did all this. Again, we're a nonprofit. We champion for women and minority-owned businesses. And here's just some fun facts about us here. We always like to play this little short video of Paula Tutman kind of explaining who we are.
Here in Michigan, boosting
Can you guys hear it?
business and shattering glass ceilings. We are talking
Yes, we can.
about the work of the Great Lakes Women's Business Council, which has been meeting for 2 days in Novi. Paula Tutman was in the middle of it all with the story on the groundbreaking, game-changing organization. I think what's so incredible is there was a time not so very long ago, just the idea of being a woman-owned business owner or your own boss was considered foreign, but so foreign that some people even laughed at that idea. It's beyond my expectations. It's beyond my dreams, frankly. Michelle Richards, the founder and CEO of the Great Lakes Women's Business Council, remembers those early days well. In 1984, no one believed in the idea of women starting businesses. The concept seemed like, oh, you're talking about women doing catering or babysitting. And I said, no. That was then, and this is now. Through Great Lakes Women's Business Council, we've met glass blowers, construction workers, candy makers, concerned about the level of women living in poverty and the barriers to even think about being a boss instead of a worker. Michelle Richards had an idea. Start an organization that promotes and trains women to be business owners. 35 years later, this is what her vision looks like. Central View Technologies delivers this and so much more. At the 2-day conference, women pitch their companies. Where we provide pre-charged cell phone chargers that are stored in vending machines and public places. We've grown from being a small loan program and business training program to being an organization with very sophisticated programs on how to leverage opportunities and accelerate business growth. The newest initiative, B2We, provides procurement opportunities for women to do business with other women-owned companies. During We Match sessions, small women-owned companies can actually talk face-to-face to 60 big corporations. For business titans looking to do business with women business owners, because being a certified women business enterprise is a game changer. The federal government is the major customer for almost all major companies. Their requirement is to set up programs to do business with women and minorities, and to do 5% spend with women and 5% spend with minorities. And so women's business certification is a way to do that. And Taschendorf of Covalent Resource Group has only been in business for 18 months. And like just being embraced in the community, it's really cool. I'm proud to MC this luncheon for the conference every year. 1,200 certified women business enterprises generating $11.6 billion into the U.S. economy with 41.5 thousand workers. And that is not bad for a 35-year-old with a staff of only 17. In the room, more than 800 ladies who are lunching from across Michigan and as far away as California and Texas. And they are not talking laundry detergent, but line items. All of this from a gender that just 35 years ago didn't have a clear agenda. My, how times have changed. Paula Tutman, Local 4.
Thanks, Paula. Paula's one of our favorite people. We absolutely love Paula. And so this video says a lot in the brief couple minutes that she talks. So real quick, we'll jump into what supplier diversity is and the different suppliers. And I think Kim pretty much touched a lot of this. So there are certifications for women-owned, veteran-owned, minority-owned, if you fit in the LGBTQ community, and disabled-owned. So there's a certification organization that will provide certification in each of these colored balls. So if you fit more than one of the colors, I always tell people it does not hurt to get multiple certifications, right? So I continue always to send women to the Minority Council if they fit in the minority spectrum. I send them to the veterans if they're a veteran. I send them to the LGBTQ community certifiers if they fit that description. So we always try to push you, as far as you can go. If you fit more than one of these, then by all means, please get multiple certifications. You can get certifications at city, state, federal, and corporation or commercial level, which was discussed earlier by Kim. So we'll just go ahead to that. What most people don't understand is there is a public and a private sector. Your public sector is mandated to kind of do that 5% with the woman-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned. Your private sector, they're able to determine what they spend what they want their spend to be. So Walmart right now is one of our biggest supporters of our women-owned businesses. They do well beyond 5% of their spend with any of our ladies that have a product that they're able to put in their store. No matter which way you decide to go, both of them equal opportunity, and which equals money for you guys. Any questions, you can put them in the chat box. And then I would like to tie us into how we tie into WBENC. So WBENC is a national certifying body. It stands for Women's Business Enterprise National Council. And what they did is they selected 14 RPOs around the world to conduct and provide their certification for them. So we're here in this dark emerald color here, and we service WBENC WBEs for the states of Michigan and Indiana. But again, your certification is national. So if you wanted to go and do business out in Texas, what you would do is you would just connect with our Texas Council, and they will be able to put you on their mailing list and invite you to their opportunities and things like that. But you're certified already, so you won't have to go and get certified in a different council. Our certification will cover you no matter where you go. Why get certified? Of course, business growth through all of our classes, webinars, mentorships, things like that. You're guaranteed to have some business growth, whether it's internally. Self-growth happens a lot of the times too. You'll be able to have those credentials. You have our logos on everything. You're able to put them on, do press releases through our system. Of course, the connections, again, I've spoken about building relationships is very important. And then ultimately you want to be able to obtain and maintain contracts. Here is a quick list of a lot of the corporations that are housed out of Michigan or Indiana that support our certified WBE. So as you can see, with us being in Detroit, we are very automotive driven, but we definitely have healthcare, schools, manufacturing companies all across the board. There's even large certified WBEs who become corporate members to our council as well. So they are certified, as well as they have some type of supplier diversity program or business inclusion program within them that they want to give back to the other smaller WBEs. And so you have companies like Aristio, who support WBEs while being a WBE. So we love it. Here's just a chart of, the industries that we certify. Right now, professional is our biggest certifying pot out of, but we're starting to see some of the other industries creep up. And so they're starting to take over a little bit of that 27% that professional has right now. The eligibility for being certified is you must be 51% managed, owned, and operated by a woman or women. You must hold the highest defined title, and you must be a U.S. citizenship. And again, if you want to go more in detail on each of these criteria, feel free to reach out to me and Sharice after the call. And the entities that we certify currently, we certify everything except for a nonprofit organization. So sole Ps, partnerships, whether you're a LLC corporation, a regular corporation, and a regular LLC. And now I turn it over to Sharice.
Well, good morning. So we're going to talk about how you can start the application on the certification. You're going to log on to webanklink.org. You're going to scroll down to Seeking Certification. Right there, you're going to go to Apply for and Renewal Certification. You're going to enter in your company information as well as the email address for us to contact you. Please note that the email address will be your username, and you're going to create a password with a character. Next, you're going to have a dashboard generate. You're going to go under Key Action. You're going to go to Manage/Apply for a certification. You're going to answer a couple of questions pertaining to your business as well as your ownership. Please note that this slide right here shows where you can go back in if you have any questions or if you're trying to get more documentations. You're going to go where it says status and complete, the percentage, and then where action, the column action at, you're going to go to fill in. The certification takes up to 90 days. So once you start your application, you have 90 days to complete it. Once you submit, pay, and then submit again, it goes to a processing step. It goes to our assistant who will make sure that documentation make sure you didn't upload vacation pictures by mistake. Then it will go to our colleagues, the certification department. We will make sure we cross all T's and dot I's. Then it will go to our CRC, what we like to call the Certification Review Committee. They will make sure that we in the certification department, step 2, make sure that you cross your T's and dot your I's. Please note that we get over 160 applications in per month. So sometimes we might overlook an application. Next, we will ask for a site visit. In a perfect world, we will come to your headquarters, but due to COVID, we're doing virtual. Yes, we're going to have you take your electronic device and walk around your building or home like we're there. We're going to ask questions based on WeBank standards. Then it will go to another committee. So step 2, 3, and 4 is where our final committee will review to make sure that everything is in order. Then you will get a letter from WeBank determining the status of your application. Please note that once you receive that letter, also going back to step 2, once you receive that letter, we have 90 days to finish all those process. Later in our orientation, if you attend, we will get down to the documents required. We do have them listed up in webank.org if you would like. It's usually general information about the company. Please note that everything is confidential. We provide all of the information through our committee. In a perfect world, when we was face-to-face, we provide the electronic devices as well as the password, and we make sure that none of your competitors are reviewing your application. The application fee is based on the company taxes. You take 3 years of your gross revenue and you divide it into 3. If you're a startup company, usually anything under 1 million sales is $350. From 1 million to 5 million is $500. 5 to 10 million is $750. 10 to 50 is $1,000. Anything over 50 million is $1,250. That's why we put it in twice, because we know you're going to hit that goal. Something to remember. This is usually what we like to tell our potential WBEs. Never go up top. There's always someone that needs your service. As you can see here, there are different tiers of 1 tier, 2 tier, 3 tiers, and 4, and so on and so on. So at Great Lakes, we teach you how to get that potential customer or client, and how to negotiate, well, not negotiate, but how to communicate as well. Next slide. I'm a visionary. So this is one of my favorite quotes. If you are a visionary just like me, you're going to have a copy of this presentation. Take this out, post it. Here's the certification team. We have Veronica Johnson, who is our Director of Certification, Katrina Johnson, who is our Indiana Certification Program Manager, no relations, Sharice, that's me. And then we have Danielle, who is our certification clerk. It is a review of 2020 and 2021. We did have a conference that occurred last month. It was awesome. And stay connected. You can log on to the Michigan Women Marketplace at miwomen.com. You can follow us on all social media platforms. And any questions?
That was awesome. Thank you both so much. We did have a couple of questions pop up. So if someone has, and this may or may not be a question for you, but if someone has a business that is set up that's 50-50 right now between a husband and a wife, or just, man and female, or male and female, if they were, how does that work if they want to become a certified women-owned business? Can they restructure their business, or how does that work?
That man has to give up that 1%
Okay.
ownership and has to give up that control.
Okay. So it'd be restructuring the organization with the state of Michigan first, and then applying once the wife or partner, who is a woman, takes on 51% ownership and the highest seat in the organization. Is that correct?
Yes,
Correct.
once he cave in and say, you know what, women are right, you run the world. Here you go.
Perfect.
There you go.
Perfect.
But in the meantime, they're able to still join the MI Women Marketplace as a woman-owned business, because technically they're still woman-owned, although they're not majority woman-owned. So
Okay.
they still will have access to all of our classes, webinars, seminars, all that type of stuff in the interim of getting that paperwork and documentation all up and running, because sometimes those can take some months. So that woman is still able to get connected with the council and be a part of us. She just won't be able to go after the certification quite yet.
Okay, perfect. That is good to know. And then another question that popped up, this woman owns a mental health practice, both minority and female owned. Would it be beneficial for her to certify?
I always say absolutely, because not only, I mean, you want to also understand that we currently have a little over 1,400 certified WBEs just in the states of Michigan and Indiana, who I know most of us could use some type of mental help. Okay. So you're not just going after the corporations, you are going after your peers and things like that. So there's definitely going to be some opportunity for that type of business. Albert, would you agree?
Oh, you are muted, Albert. There you go.
I certainly agree with that. And I can talk more on that, but you're absolutely right.
Because I would assume that, COVID has kind of thrown a wrench in plans, but when people are able to get back together or in virtual spaces, the networking between certified women, veteran, minority-owned businesses, right, is a space where you can share your resources with other businesses who are certified as well. Is that a good assumption?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. Well, I think that's all the questions we have in the chat box for now. So thank you both so much. We'll see if any more pop up, and then we are going to transition to talk about minority-owned certification process. So we have Albert Lewis. He is the Director of Certification and Minority Business Enterprise Services at the Michigan Minority Supplier Development Council. And I will hand it over to you, Albert. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me, and certainly appreciate the large crowd we have today. That's awesome. Can you, wait a minute. No, you can't see my screen because I didn't share. How about that? Got to hit that share button. I work on too many of these systems. It is just incredible. Well, again, good morning, everyone. It's always either great or tough to be the last one on deck, and typically after sitting through two presentations, a lot of pressure on the last guy, right? So good morning, everyone. Is certification for me? I hope I can answer this question. Let me put this in presentation mode. See if it works again. There we go. It is working. So the NMSDC, let's talk about the NMSDC. The NMSDC, I'm probably not going to read off the slide, but I'm going to do the absolute best I can. Wait a minute. Let me start my clock because I talk a lot. See this right here? Got a stopwatch, trying to be professional. There we go. Now we're rolling. The NMSDC has been around since 1972. President Richard Nixon wrote an executive order that established that it is absolutely necessary to make sure that we have minority businesses competing for business in the marketplace. It strengthens the economy and helps create wealth for those folks that are represented in the historically unutilized population groups that he established in his executive order. It was Hispanics, Asian Indian, Asian Pacific, Native American, and African American. So the NMSDC has been around for a long time. about 49 years. And as you see on the screen here, it does identify who those folks are. So let's talk about the MMSDC. MMSDC, all these different acronyms. So there's 23 affiliates that are affiliated with the national, which is located in New York, and the affiliates actually carry out the strategy around the United States. In Michigan, that's what the M stands for, Michigan Minority Supplier Development Council. Michelle Sori Robinson is the president and CEO of the council here in Michigan. She's also the operator of the MBDA, the Minority Business Development Agency, which I'll talk about later on in the presentation, which carries out part of the strategy for the council. So when you think about who we are, we're a 501c3, and we promote economic growth of corporate members and minority business enterprises. You kind of think, well, we're helping the corporates grow. Yeah, we're helping the corporates grow by inserting into their supply chain diversity. Diversity drives innovation, it drives ingenuity. There's really a value proposition for having minority businesses be a part of the supply chain. When people ask me about supplier diversity, supplier diversity is more than going out and finding minority businesses. Minority businesses, when you think in terms of strategy with corporations, really is looking at solutions in the marketplace to help the entire organization, across the organization, just not purchasing. It helps that company become more drive ingenuity, innovation, and at the end of the day, it helps them become competitively advantaged so they can set the price in the market and drive and run their businesses with cost and capital efficiency. That's the new millennial type view of supplier diversity. It's more than just getting transactions from minority businesses. So we're the largest of the 23 councils around the United States, and we're also global. We have satellites in Australia, Canada, China, South Africa, and the United Kingdom. We're located downtown Detroit, and as I said, we operate the Department of Commerce MBDA business centers, ranked #1 out of 40 centers in nationwide. So when you think in terms of the branding that we're bringing to DE&I and supplier diversity, we're the #1, we're the largest council in the United States and around the world. And we're also the #1 ranked MBDA center nationwide. And I'll talk more about what the MBDA does. So when you think about the standards, right, we provide a lot, we ask for a lot of information, right, regarding the status, because at the end of the day, we are charged with authenticating whether or not a business is owned, operated, controlled, and independently run by the minority who actually is sitting at the highest office in the company. So what do? We certify, we develop, we connect, and we advocate. So certification, as you can see, is the reason why we exist, and it's the reason why corporations become corporate members of the council. The develop arm is run by the MBDA. And again, we'll talk about that later. We spend a lot of time making sure that we understand corporate members and other MBEs. We understand their sourcing strategies because we have moved away from transactional. Of course, we don't turn down any opportunities for our minority businesses, but we spend a lot of time every single month connecting with corporations to make sure that we understand their strategies so we can bring MBE solutions that align to those strategies. And in terms of a very technical term that we use as we describe our value propositions for MBEs, we strive to make sure in our strategy that your sourcing or your source award from a corporation or another MBE is sticky. Sticky means that you cannot be just easily eliminated from the supply chain. You own that part of whatever it is you're providing as a product or a service. And we advocate as well, federal, state, and local. We advocate for our MBEs. We have MOUs with cluster leaders down in Mexico. We have MOUs with different parts of the government where we as well as our capital partners. So it's certification for you. I would say it is. And Veronica asked a question. Al, is it? Yeah. Is this? Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Veronica. It's whether you're whether you're making candles, popsicles, or hamburgers, right? Is it you? And if you're a minority-owned business or a woman-owned business or veteran-owned business, you should be certified because it does create a brand for you, right? Especially in this economy that we're working today, the climate that we're working today. President Biden's Build Back Better Together, the whole of government driving DE&I and supplier diversity. We sit in a lot of government meetings with the Biden administration to really understand what the government's driving and what we should be driving as it relates to solutions for MBEs in the marketplace. And so when you think in terms of who we're connected with, you can see on the right-hand side of the screen here locally within Michigan, but our tentacles reach across the United States and even into other countries, governments, federal, state, and local. So it's it's something that you need to do to create that brand and also to fit within, watch this, if you're writing things down, write this down, to fit within the strategy of those corporations that are sourcing. They want to make sure that you're authentic. And very quickly, I'm gonna get to a slide to show you why that's important. The objective for the certification is to make sure that you own, operate, and control that business. This is very critical. We put a microscope and we tested with fire to make sure that you are authentically who you say you are, and that business is absolutely run by that historically underutilized population group owner. So the objective is to make sure that we're passing on to our corporations, to any government agencies such as the Department of Navy and other DoD partners that we have, that you are who you say you are. And also an MBE for us is a for-profit organization, something that you want to make sure that you understand. We don't certify nonprofits or holding companies. So there's certain, there's documentation that you need in order to make sure that you pass through the certification process. You can go to our website, click on the certification tab, and you can walk through that. I don't want to take up the time now to go through all of the information that you need, but here on the screen you can see at a very high level what's required to pass through our certification process. Again, these are the folks that we certify, and you have to be a United States citizen. And again, control, ownership, and day-to-day management is extremely important as we go through the process. Everything that we look at, be it a JV, be it a JV emerging, or an LLC, or corporation, sole proprietorship, you have to demonstrate that you own, operate, and control the business. Again, as you saw on the other slides, you have to be at least 51% owned by the ethnic minority and a U.S. citizen. And something just for those folks, because we have a mixed group here, we're looking at something to make certification a little bit more appealing to the MBE or the woman-owned business or the veteran-owned business. This is something that I just put in my strategy. If you are, let's just pretend, right, that you're a veteran, you're a woman, and you're one of the historic underutilized population groups that we talked about, and you come to the council and you've already, paid for your WBE and your veteran-owned certifications where there are fees. We're looking at offering a discount because you're trying to get in and compete, right? And you're spending money to get there, application fees and then certification fees, and it's costing you. right? And if you're a small business, I'm very concerned about that. We break up our, we have a stratification. Class 1s are $0 to $1 million, and class 2 is $1 million to 10, and class 3 is 10 to 50, and above 50 is class 4. And this kind of adds up when you think in terms of the cost of the certification, right? Our certification costs range from $200 to $1,200. Well, after you've done that a few times, you're going, well, wait a minute, where's the value here? You're looking for immediately being able to strike iron and go, hey, I got a contract. And it doesn't always happen like that, especially in the automotive industry, right? There's a lot of things that you have to pass through, and we're going to help you get there. But at the end of the day, starting the journey is extremely important, and we don't want that to be something that you say, well, I'm not going to do that. And then also we get grants from different companies who have supplier diversity programs, and we take those grants, and actually in some cases we pay for your certification so that you can make it through and get out there and compete. So don't let that be something that slows you down. Come in, talk with me, talk with one of my certification specialists, and we can talk about how we can get you through this. There are folks that we don't certify, that don't qualify, right? And it's on this page, and this is also something that you can get on our website. But for the most part, if you're a green card holder and resident aliens are not eligible for certification, and there are also certain ethnicities that we don't recognize. Again, we talked about the day-to-day management piece. You have to demonstrate that you are there actually operating and running the company. It can't be something that is held in a holding company and you're signing checks. No, it's something you have to actually manage the business. So you have to hold the highest office in the business, and it has to be independent. It can't be anything that's got control over you, or some kind of employment agreement, or your board can vote you out, right? You have to demonstrate through your operating agreements, your bylaws, everything that determines how that business is going to actually go to market and compete. And you have to be that person that's making the decisions, guiding the ship, and navigating it through its way to success. And so again, this is a slide that talks about the entire process. We will cover this with you. Before you, as a new applicant, we have you go through a pre-certification process, and we will walk you through how this process actually works. It's about a 2 to 3 hour meeting, but we want to make sure that you in fact are ready to go through the process. And this is kind of a very high level view of what this looks like. So we did a study. If we continue on the same path that we are today, it'll be 330 years before we get to economic parity. And we don't want to take that long. We've identified a strategy that will get us there in 15 years. And essentially what we're saying, in order to change that, we have to make sure that corporations are in agreement to at least spend, increase their the supplier diversity, their MBE, women-owned or veteran-owned business, spend at least 1% year over year. You have to do business with certified MBEs, and also MBEs have to get access to capital. These are some of the other programs that we offer that you can get engaged with. I'm quickly going through this. There's a magazine that we go through and submit put out for folks to read every month. I'm going to skim through these. We can talk more about that at another time. I'll probably send out something that can get to our folks that are on the line now. I want to get to, oh, there's my stop. Look at that. That thing does work. The Detroit MBDA, I was trying to get to this slide, and then I'm going to stop. The MBDA, we provide access to capital. We have created an access to capital strategy that has a capital stack in it, that has private equity, venture capital, traditional financing, and other folks that help the MBE and corporations through allowing MBEs to compete. It took us a little over a year to really get the initial program going. So we want to make sure that, in fact, MBEs have access to capital to grow their business, operate and run their business. We also help folks get access to markets and access to contracts. We also do the development piece. We consult. Our business solutions group actually works with the MBEs. We have consultants that come out, work with you, build those strategies, build those business plans, and help you initially get started in the startup phase and then grow your business. These are the folks that work in the MBDA. I'll make sure you have their information as well. I talked about the pre-certification, so I'm going to stop. Wow, I went through that very quick.
Thank you so much, Albert. That was great. We are almost done with time, or almost done with our hour, I should say. I did have one question for all the organizations that presented today. If someone becomes certified through the Michigan-based certification process, while we hope all businesses stay in Michigan forever and always, we know that some people move. Do those certifications transfer, or is that where you have to register with the national level and then it transfers, or does it just depend on the certification?
Well, with us, if you're certified in Michigan, that is recognized nationwide, but to get the program and services from another affiliate, you have to get a subscription.
Okay.
And that subscription is, it also has a stratified cost, because every one of our affiliates, they in fact do have trade shows and all that stuff, and other types of things that can help the businesses grow. So they have to get a subscription, but once you're certified, it's recognized nationwide.
Okay.
And with us, if you are certified with us, you're certified nationwide as well. But if you move out of our RPO's region,
Yeah.
we then transfer your file to the RPO that covers that territory. So
Okay.
you're still certified. It would just be a different RPO that will service your certification.
Perfect. And
And
oh, go ahead, Kim.
yeah, VA registration and the NVBDC, which is the private commercial registration, both are federal level. The only thing is, if you move into a different state, there are different rules per state to dealing with ownership, especially spousal ownership.
Okay.
So just check the area if you move.
Perfect. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today and presenting this wonderful information. And thank you to our attendees for spending your time with us this morning. We hope you found this call to be beneficial. Our next Business First call will take place on Thursday, November 18th, and we'll focus on access to capital. So we'll discuss the who you need to talk to, the what you need to know, and where you need to go to schedule or to secure financial support. Our panelists will include people from the Small Business Administration, the City of Kalamazoo, Huntington Bank, and a few more. So the link for the event has been posted in the chat box, and I will be sending up a lot of information in a follow-up email later today. My contact information should have been shared in the chat box. So if you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to reach out to myself or one of our panelists on the call today. And thank you again to Blue Cross Blue Shield for sponsoring this series. Thank you all again for joining us, and we hope to see you on future calls. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.